Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 4:05 now, and time to start the evening. We are having this exclusive session with VMware on VMC and AWS, where we'll be having Vikram Khanna and Manish coming in and telling us about what all we're having to pitch the customers where they can benefit their IT infrastructure. We are also having Mr. Vicky Fulwani from Hitachi Systems Microclinic, who will be letting us through the offerings offered by Hitachi Systems and our joint value proposition with VMware. So, Vicky, before I hand it over to you, let me announce that there will be a Wheel of Fortune contest, and I'll be spinning a wheel after the session, and we'll be having one winner who will be getting a Google Home Mini, and we'll be having a contest for attendees who are attending this session. The first 5 customers who will fill the survey after the session will get a Amazon voucher worth rupees 1000 each. So yeah, Vicky is right here. So over to you, Vicky, now to take this forward.
Hey, thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for that introduction. So I'll just quickly share my screen, and I just will want a confirmation once you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, Vicky, it's visible now. Yeah.
All right.
Do a
Thank you
full
so
screen.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, and good evening, everybody, for the event which we are co-hosting with VMware. Obviously, it's a very key partnership that we enjoy with VMware in terms of driving some of the IT offerings that we go together in the market with our customers. So I have been given the challenging task of covering HSMC and also the VMware partnership in less than 10 minutes. So I'll try to go a little quick, and obviously my email address will be there at the end, but I'll be more than happy to take some questions or anything more which you want to know about us or what you see in this short presentation. So just a quick introduction, while many of you know already about Hitachi, but just a quick introduction in terms of we as an organization, very much a part of the Hitachi group overall, which is a global conglomerate, and we are a part of Hitachi Systems, which is more than $22 billion in terms of revenue, which is totally focused on IT offerings. Hitachi Systems Microclinic was founded in 1991, so very much almost close to 30 years of existence, founded by a very, very, very able visionary, Mr. Tarun Seth, and it was acquired by Hitachi in 2014. We'll be exiting close to, close to 1800 in terms of revenue for this year, though it was a COVID year, so as to speak, but we have done pretty well. We have overachieved in terms of some of the forecasts which we had thrown internally and also to Japan. So that is where we end, where we are expecting to do. Little bit about our geographical presence. Key offices across the country and also in Dubai and Singapore, which have been our recent expansion. More than 200 service touch points which we are using to service our customers. More than 10,000 odd customers which are being supported through this presence which we are having, globally when it comes to HSMC's presence across India and nearby. So just like any other system integrator, we obviously work with all the leading OEMs, and we carry the highest levels of partnerships. But besides working with OEMs, we are extensively focused on the services aspect, because that's where the actual value addition comes from. Us as a system integrator. So very much a and OEM agnostic approach in terms of how we drive solutions, how we design solutions, and how we build solutions. So we'll be more than happy to hear from you in terms of any requirements or any objectives which you're planning to take, so that we can come up with some right kind of options for you, which for that particular initiative. So so some of our product offerings, more in terms of data center security, a lot of managed services, and with how COVID has shaped up the world. I mean, it has changed how we live. So we are pretty flexible, and we are offering a lot of solutions and services, and not just solutions and services, but also we are designing solutions and services with a lot of flexibility. in terms of whether it is pay per use or whether it's also the payment terms. We want to add value in all forms, and that's why little bit of flexibility always helps in terms of how do we support customers in these little difficult times for business environment. So we spoke about VMware, obviously a very key partner for us. We are carrying the highest level of partnership, as the slide also suggests, and it's just not about partnerships. It's also about having that in-house expertise, whether it's pre-sales, post-sales, project management, everything put together, which makes us, a very, very preferred partner, so as to speak, by a lot of our customers who look at us in terms of in terms of looking at requirements which are around VMware. So we have a lot of in-house expertise, a lot of certified, skilled resources on the sales and technical front, and we are nearing almost 100 customers where we have, rolled out, and we are currently supporting also on VMware offerings. And no wonder we were given that recognition from VMware in terms of the awards, in terms of outstanding contribution, and also from the cloud management perspective. So besides VMware, if you look at the other partnerships that we are carrying, we just thought of showcasing this one key slide, which more or less covers all our engagements, all our partnerships across a lot of OEMs across data center, security, compute, cloud, and in terms of enterprise management solutions. So you can see more or less all OEMs across compute, storage, security, endpoint security, data center security, and also some niche areas like blockchain based identity access management, like One Cosmos, where we are the only partners for eliminating password based authentication. Just 3-4 slides on some of our own offerings. As I said, we are extensively focused on creating value by showcasing some of the services that we are into the market, and these are very these are our own intellectual properties. We just thought of sharing with you a couple of slides on what we can do more in terms of endpoint infra management, and also in terms of infrastructure management around data center, which is your core infra management. If you see, in terms of ever since COVID has hit us, more or less, it has just changed the entire changed the entire scenario in terms of how IT systems are being designed and supported by enterprise customers. So earlier, the whole workforce, which was more or less in office, today the entire workforce, or more or less chunk of it, is sitting at their office. I mean, sitting at their homes, sitting at places where it's very remote in nature in terms of connectivity options, and it becomes extensively difficult for IT teams to actually monitor, manage, support an end user and ensure that they are productive at the same levels what they were when they were sitting in an office environment. So that's where some of these offerings like PC Visor, which is more of an endpoint management solution, which can help you, which let me cover it in the next slide. So this is what it can do today. More or less, a lot of these things which you are doing, I'm sure you're doing it in using various tools, whether it is you might have a tool for remote management, you might have a different tool for patch management, you might have a different tool for asset management, and each of these tools, when they are having so many agents sitting on an endpoint, it just increases the load unnecessarily, thereby reducing an end user experience, or also slowing down the machine, which affects productivity from their point of view. From our aspect, this is a single tool which takes care of all this, whether it's patch management, remote management, asset management, a lot of automation around. If you see a new user, or if you see existing users, they spend a lot of time in terms of reaching out to help desk with basic issues like all this what you're seeing on the screen. It can be password reset, it can be just deletion of things, it can be just wallpaper, it can be just USB port enable disable. So these things take a lot of time, and put unnecessarily burden on the IT help desk. These are, so for us, we have added more than 6,000 such scripts in this tool itself, which basically automates how an end user gets supported without even reaching out to the IT help desk. So this is how you can reduce, and we are confident that wherever we have deployed this, it has reduced the tickets by at least 30% to what it was, in the earlier scenario before this agent was installed on the endpoints. And yeah, COVID also required a lot of customization. A lot of customers came back to us saying that whether we can do something in terms of productivity management of employees. And because this software is our own IP, we developed this tool, and we have developed a management module which basically gives you a very clear view of what they are using, what they are doing, when they are logged in, when they are logged out, what kind of a things what they are accessing when they are in office. I mean, when they are in front of their laptop. And obviously this is as per the privacy and guidelines which have been set by your organization, so you can very well use that as a reference in terms of communicating to your end users that how the productivity is being monitored. So it is a ideal work from home tool which just takes care of a lot of security aspects. It takes care of in terms of how you're supporting an end user who's sitting at home, and it also helps you in terms of ensuring their asset is very much updated in terms of compliance, and also from a productivity management point of view. So we spoke about endpoint management. The next module is more in terms of how do we support infrastructure which is beyond endpoints. So, and again, I'm just going a little fast purely because of lack of time. So this is what we support in terms of supporting from a NOC, or supporting from, which we can do in terms of in-house on-site engineers also. So we can support server monitoring or network monitoring or database monitoring. Anything in terms of some of the core infrastructure which is lying in your environment, we'll be more than happy in terms of monitoring it from our NOC or maybe on site resources, because we have those skilled resources in place, who are doing it every day in and out for all our customers, even today. CXO dashboard is just a central, is a central view of what's happening in terms of some of the tickets which are lying in your IT environment. And it can be location wise, it can be category wise, it can be in terms of the nature of tickets which have been raised, or the kind of applications which are actually giving you problems, or the kind of machines, different kind of machines which are giving you problem. It can give you a productivity of the help desk engineer, which is across your locations. So it gives you a single snapshot, where as a CXO, as a leadership guy, you very well have a central view of what's happening, how your end users, how your business users are being supported by IT, how many tickets are raised at any given point of time, what is the resolution time location wise, and in any part of the world, and what has been the pattern and trend in terms of how they are being supported. So you don't have to review your team in terms of what's happening every day or every alternate day just to see whether IT is adding value. This gives you across, right in front of you in real time, what is happening, what IT is doing. I mean, how IT is adding value to our customers, thereby enabling you for faster decision making across any aspects of IT, where you're seeing a larger time being spent in terms of supporting end users. So just a quick view in terms of some of our existing customers across different verticals, whether it's government, M&D, ITS, retail, BFSI. We very much work with all the leading customers, all the leading logos, where we have provided solutions across network, compute, HCI, security, cloud, Microsoft, and very much adding more or less every logo every second day in terms of this. So that was a quick preview about Hitachi. I went a little fast, but purely because of time constraints. Do feel free to reach out to us for anything which you want from our side, and we'll be more than happy to respond to you. So over to you, Gaurav, on this. Vikram. Sorry, over to you, Vikram, on this.
Yeah, thanks, man. Can you stop sharing? Yeah. Thank you. Can somebody please confirm if they're able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky, and thank you all for joining this session. My name is Vikram, and I am a cloud solution architect with VMware Cloud on AWS, with VMware primarily. We deal a lot with VMware Cloud on AWS, or in abbreviation we call it VMC. So during the course of this presentation, you'll see me using this acronym a lot, VMC. Now, primarily, this offering was a jointly developed solution between a leading hyperscaler and a great solution, cloud solution provider. Together, we came across and we got an amazing ability, gentlemen and ladies. Believe me when I say it's an amazing, technology and a solution where our customers can not just easily import the workloads from in and out of AWS regions, or for the matter the on-premise data centers, but also can natively use the power of AWS, any of the 190 plus services that they have, in conjunction with VMware Cloud, with VMware infrastructure. Now, in the shortcoming times, I'll be talking in depth about all this offering, but just to give you an idea, this is basically a very deep rooted, jointly developed, jointly engineered sort of solution that we have now. If you look at some bit of an overview, a 10,000 feet overview, VMware Cloud on AWS is basically nothing but it's running on AWS bare metal servers. It's completely supported, managed, and operated by VMware solely. So basically, VMware manages the entire infrastructure. And what that means is today we run, on our vSphere, our vSAN, and our NSX. The vSphere is our basically hypervisor solution that I'm sure all of you would know. vSAN is our beautiful the storage virtualization software, or the storage software that we have. And NSX is our SDN, or software defined network solution, an amazing solution again, all clubbed together into one, running on bare metal servers. So what that means primarily for you as a customer is your VM space will never be shared with any other customer's VMware space, VM space. You will have a dedicated, isolated sort of environment for yourself completely, which will run all these three softwares that I talked about. Now, because we run VMware on cloud, and most of you, I'm sure 99.9% of the enterprises today are running VMware on premise, what we have is a sort of a similarity. What that means is basically today, I can pick up any application workload and I can migrate to the cloud without any architectural or without any re-platforming of any sort whatsoever. I can just pick up any workload and I can migrate to the cloud, or vice versa, or probably move from one cloud, have the ability to move from one cloud to the other cloud without making any architectural changes. This is a unique feature which is provided by VMware and VMware Cloud on AWS. And VMware Cloud on AWS, in my knowledge, this sort of offering can only be provided by VMware Cloud on AWS. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just suffering a little bit of cold. Now, we have multiple networking options, and I'll be talking in depth about this in upcoming slides, but we can use internet, we can use lease lines, we can use whatever options, network options that you have from, from connectivity point of view, from your on-premise environment to your on-cloud, or vice versa. So we can have multiple of those supports as well. And along with that, we have access to, your VMware Cloud on AWS will have access to all those native AWS services, which I've talked about earlier as well, all of them. So if your application wants to use ML or AI or Kinesis or for that matter, Fargate or Lambda sort of services, they please feel free. I mean, it's open for that. And while we do that, we have amazing connectivity, which I'm going to talk about, in the upcoming slides as well. Please, I'm sorry. I am jointly. I'm joined with my colleague Manish Verma. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to post it on the chat. Manish is there monitoring the chat, so he'll be able to answer all those questions. Now, coming down to VMware Cloud on AWS, or VMC's capabilities. Now, because it's the same sort of environment, today your technical team will not have to recertify or work on or learn a whole new platform altogether. The similar sort of platform will be available on cloud, which is there on premise. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a real live lab, not a canned, but a real live lab. I'm going to demonstrate all of this, what I'm talking about today. Also, along with that, we like I said earlier, we as VMware Cloud on AWS is the only cloud offering which can offer you easy workload portability. And when I say easy, I mean just a few mouse clicks and that's it, you're done. And I'm going to show that as well in a demo lab. Now, while we do that, we have, I can't emphasize enough, but we have access to all those native services that AWS has to offer today, all of them, and whatever services are going to be offered in future as well. Those services will be integrated or can be integrated easily with VMware Cloud on AWS. Now, talking about the containerization, because most of our customers I see today are moving towards a container sort of environment. So just to give you a little bit of idea, in the month of March last year, VMware came up with a beautiful technology called Tanzu, which I'm sure most of you would know about. Now, that Tanzu platform is available with a VMware Cloud on AWS, out of the box. So that support is also there. With Tanzu portfolio, we've done so many things to Kubernetes that today, after Google, we are the second largest contributor to Kubernetes in the world. Google was the one who created Kubernetes. We are the largest open source contributor to Kubernetes today. VMware is. There's so much development which has happened today. We can offer you a platform with which you can modernize your applications, but in a phased manner. For example, so if your application, let's say, has a web tier, app tier, and a DB tier, for example, and today as phase one, you just want to modernize, let's say, or convert that classic application from a web application to a containerized application, you can do that while your app tier and your DB tier can still remain as VMs. That is a beauty that we are trying to offer. And while we do that, we can maintain your private IP addressing across internet. Across internet, we can manage it. So for example, if you have an application which is running on a, let's say, for example, a 10 subnet, in your own data center, and just for fun of it, you want to migrate an app tier which is communicating to a web tier and a DB tier all over private IP address, you can do that. That's the capability that we can offer, both on VM as well as container environment. Now, some of the use cases that we see quite often getting solved by VMware Cloud on AWS is, of course, data center extension is one of them. It's a beautiful use case that we have when you want to burst your data center when you are already in during this. Vicky was talking about this pandemic time, and he was talking about all this reference architectures and all the services that you provide. One of those services which we very, very keenly and get in line with is our data center extension. So today, let's say you are running an environment which is, let's say, 80 or 85% or 95% full, and you want to quickly go ahead and burst your VMs on the cloud. VMware VMC is the perfect offering for you. We can burst on day one. We can in a single day, I can burst and I can migrate also, your workloads as well. We have a very good solution for disaster recovery. We can give you as low as 0 RPO, as low as probably 5 minutes of RPO, as low as probably 4 hours of RPO, depending on what you need today. If you need a cold DR, if you need a hot DR, VMware VMC is a one-stop shop for you in that case. Cloud migrations, I'm going to show this in the lab, so I can't emphasize enough. It's never been that easy with VMware Cloud or AWS. It's just a few mouse clicks, guys. Believe me when I say this. There's not an iota bit of change which is required on the application to migrate that application or to make that application cloud native or cloud ready. And I'm talking about a legacy-based application, for example, which is running on a Windows, a Visual Basic, 5.0 sort of application, which is probably running on, let's say Windows 2000 Professional, which is, both of them are, long EUL. But if you have that sort of application as well, I can still migrate that application to the cloud without making any changes whatsoever to that application itself. And again, with our Tanzu portfolio, we have support for all the next generation applications that you can think of. Now, what we have tried to do with VMware Cloud on AWS is basically try to take the flexibility that you have on-premise in an on-premise data center, the power and the OpEx that you have on the public cloud, and we try to merge it together. The way we have tried to merge it together is, again, with our vSphere, vSAN, and NSX software. Basically, this is a world-leading. So these softwares are probably world-leading softwares, and in an IT world, they don't require any introduction. But but the time proven tested sort of software. So this basically allows you to have a very flexible, very capable, very robust sort of environment on the cloud, which is absolutely secure. And I'm going to be talking about that in upcoming slides in depth. Now, one of the key migration, I've talked a lot about easy workload migrations and all those things. So when you plan, when you plan to move an application to the cloud, you either go through any of these phases. You have to go through any of these phases. You'll have to either rehost, or you'll have to re-platform, you'll have to repurchase something, you might have to refactor the application. Now, all of these steps are very lengthy steps, and during this step, what you have to do is you have to run two different environments, because for your current application, you'll have to run it on your data center. While you're making those changes to the application, you create another environment on the cloud, and that's how you do it. You'll have to probably create a new environment for your dev. You'll have to create a new environment for your UAT or CI/CD pipeline, depending on what sort of application is that. You have to create multiple environments accordingly. Now, what VMware has done is, again, like I said, just few mouse clicks and I can migrate any application, be it cloud native or non-cloud native application, to the cloud without making any architectural changes whatsoever. And we call it relocate. Now, it could be a VM, it could be a container, it could be anything. Now, what we have done with that is basically, there is while you're running duplicate environments to upgrade your applications or to make those applications cloud native or cloud ready, there is a huge migration cost bubble which is involved. Basically, you run duplicate environments, you have to do a lot of planning and assessment, and anything goes wrong, you might have to redesign the application all over again, depending on, how severe that is. You have to spend hours and hours in consulting with those migration teams, and then probably you have to procure some new third-party equipment for third-party tools for making those cloud native applications ready. While doing all of that, you are running, remember, gentlemen and ladies, you are running an application on premise. For example, let's say your data center is coming up to be leased, over a weekend, for example. Now, you can't evacuate a data center over a week, right? I mean, let's say, for example, your data center, you're running 200 workloads, 200 virtual machines, or virtual machines. When I say virtual machines, I mean everything from the web app and DBT. For example, I'm just taking a realistic example here. Now, if I tell you to migrate, or if I ask any public cloud provider to migrate it over a week, because after a week my lease penalty is coming up to expire, it's not possible, because it's going to take a lot of time. Now, what happens is, during that time, you'll have to renew your lease on your data centers or your servers or your networking equipment, whatever is going end of life, you'll have to renew that. And usually during the renew cycle, you'll have to go through a renew of, let's say, at least minimum of 1 year. You can go with minimum of 1 year, right? You can't go for a certain number of months. So what we have done, VMware has done, is basically try to reduce this migration cost bubble to matter of days. I can practically migrate your entire data center over a weekend. You give me, everything that I need to migrate your data center, and if you have your VMC ready for you, I can start the migration on, let's say, Friday evening, and depending on the WAN capacity that I have, I can finish it up on Monday morning. I can even do that, or depending on the side of workloads that you have, I can do that. What that means is basically I don't have to spend hours or days or probably months in that migration planning activity. I don't. I can keep your applications as is. I can keep your local IP addresses for your applications as is. I can keep your public IP addresses, for your applications as is on the cloud. I can do that as well. So that's a capability that we have tried to build around this solution. So this solution is very easy to deploy and reduces your overall project delays. Now, the magic sauce behind all of this migration is our beautiful tool, which is called HCX, or Hybrid Cloud Extension tool. This tool basically allows you to pick up any application from on-premise, be it running on vSphere or Hyper-V, or, for example, KVM, or for that matter, bare metal. Pick up any applications from there and migrate to the cloud immediately without any problem, without any downtime. Now, like I said, the only bottleneck for us is the WAN capacity. And to overcome that, what we have done with this tool is basically, we have taken the source code from one of our leading WAN optimization companies, and we've installed that source code within this HCX tool. Now, what the resultant of this has been that we have actually seen a 60 to 70% of data reduction on the wire itself. So if I could do it, if I could migrate your data center in, let's say, 2 days, now I'll be able to do it with, let's say, in 1 day, for example, because I can reduce your overall WAN capacity link. I can do that. And the best part is it comes with a lot many traffic engineering features. I'm sure the networking guys would love it. And the whole offering, the VMware Cloud on AWS offering comes built into this tool. So there is no extra charges for hybrid cloud extension or what we call HCX. Now, if you look at it, let me pick up a pen here and let me try to draw this. So I'd like to draw your attention to the top left-hand side of your screen right here, where I've tried to depict your own data center, for example. Now, like I promised, you have multiple networking options. I can do I can migrate your everything from your data center using internet, or I can do it via direct connect, and I can do it with. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. While doing that, I can always encrypt your traffic. So data during transit is always encrypted. We can encrypt the traffic. We can keep it non-encrypted the way you want it. Now, this whole of the, that you see in front of you is basically a VMware Cloud on AWS bundled solution. So this is a managed sort of offering that you get. When your connections will terminate, they will terminate on a concept called a T0 router or a tier 0 router. Now, this is a logical NSX construct. NSX is our SDN portfolio that we have. When they terminate, it's got a built-in a full stateful firewall, by the way, a full stateful firewall. So you basically are protected by any sort of attacks. This is a full stateful firewall. Now, this tier 1 basically divides itself into 2 traffic zones that we see here. Both of them are tier 1 routers or T1 routers, what we call. The tier 1 router on the management side of the things is basically where you will keep all your management components, like, for example, vSAN manager or NSX manager. All of these will reside into a different place. Now, VMware will basically manage it for you, will upgrade it for you if it has to. VMware will patch it for you. Complete management part is being taken care by VMware, so you will never have to patch or upgrade your environment, to the latest software. The whole VMC runs with the most latest and greatest software. So if, for example, if you have 7.0 available on-prem today with a vSphere, on the cloud you'll be always running 7.0.1. That's the beauty. So you're always running one step ahead, and you'll never have to patch or upgrade that environment. VMware will manage it for you. While doing that, VMware will guarantee at least a 99.9% SLA across all your workloads, all your machines. That's a minimum guarantee that we offer. No conditions applied, no asterisks, nothing doing. So all your virtual machines will always be up and available. We can always go ahead and give you a solution which has got 99.99% availability as well. We can offer you that sort of solution as well. So really, it's a very, very secure, very, very stable sort of platform that we have. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the center of your screen where you see that CGW. Now, this is called the customer gateway, and this is where you will run your own virtual machines. So, for example, and all of these virtual machines are also protected by number one, the north-south firewall, and also east-west firewall with microsegmentation. So if there is a VM to VM communication that happens, that will also be encrypted by its or checked by its own firewall. Every VM will have its own firewall, not just VM. Every container would have their own firewall if they have to. So that's the beauty of this solution, overall solution that we offer. Let me just clear this drawing. One more important thing is, let's say, ladies and gentlemen, I promised you, at the beginning of my presentation that with all of these native AWS services that are there today, you can access all of them with VMware Cloud on AWS. To access them, what we give you is a dedicated 25 gig ENI. Now you have multiple such ANIs, only one is active. So you have multiple line rate communication to any of the native services. I've just mentioned few of them right here, but imagine any of them. So for example, let's say you're deploying this VMware Cloud on AWS in Mumbai region. Mumbai, let's say AZ1 for example. Mumbai, you have three availability zones, right? And all of these native services, let's say S3 is also, let's say in an AZ1 sort of environment. Most of the applications which do east to west will have $0 cost, by the way. $0 cost. That's the beauty of the solution over a dedicated ENI, a sort of layer 2 connectivity, which is working at a line rate. That's the capability that we have built into the solution. So it's a very deeply rooted, deeply engineered sort of solution that we have with AWS. If you have any questions, please keep them coming. I'll try to answer all of those questions. If Manish can, Manish will answer them on the chat, or else, I will try to answer all those questions towards the end of my presentation.
Yeah, still there are no questions as of now. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So what VMware Cloud on AWS includes primarily, if you look at it. So, if you look at your own data center, you manage everything from real estate, power, facilities, networking, storage, servers, and till your hypervisor layer, and then you manage your virtual machines, and then your applications team manage your applications, on top of that. So service teams manage operating systems and virtual machines, and and network team probably manages the networking part, and the storage team manages the storage part. With VMware Cloud on AWS, everything from the hypervisor, from the real estate part till the hypervisor part, we manage it and we guarantee you an SLA. We do not guarantee you an SLA on, let's say, service availability, but actually on your workload. Now, there is a major difference, ladies and gentlemen, here. I don't guarantee anything on service. Your workload may be down, but the service is up. A CSP may not be charged, or you may not be able to charge the SLA on that. But I will guarantee you your availability of your application, of your virtual machine itself, primarily. That is the capability that we offer. Now, take a scenario where you have a dedicated service running in a cluster, and there is a certain spike, for example, because what we do is, because we manage everything for you, we keep a very, very close eye. VMware keeps a very, very close eye on CPU or the memory or the storage requirement. So let's take an example where your CPU spikes or your memory spikes for some reason. What we'll do is we'll add a node, a server into your cluster. We'll make it a part of your cluster automatically, so you can do DRS. Your virtual machines can do DRS. It's just the same way your virtual machines do a DRS on-premise, the same way it's on the cloud. And as in when these threshold returns to normal, let's say CPU returns to normal or the memory returns to normal, we'll remove that the added host to your from your cluster. What we're trying to achieve out of this is basically making sure that your VMware environment or your virtual machines or your applications never starve because of CPU, storage, or memory requirement. Never starve. Take another example. Let's say you have a cluster which is running beautifully, no problem. After all, it's all hardware, right? Let's say one of the hardware goes down because of any reason. Let's say a hardware failure itself. Now, we have some virtual machines running on that hardware, right? What VMware will do is make sure, we'll keep on checking the cluster. We'll check if there is a host which goes down. What we'll do is, if in case the host goes down, we'll add another host to your cluster automatically. Sub-second operation, and it's an automatic process, no manual intervention whatsoever required. We'll add a host to your cluster. We'll migrate the virtual machine from that bad host to the new host, and we'll remove the bad host from your environment completely and replace it with this new host. So this is all a very, very automatic process. Again, no manual intervention whatsoever required in both when the hardware goes down or when there is a spike of any CPUs, memory, or storage sort of requirement that you have. Now, we have this offering everywhere, practically everywhere today around the globe. Wherever you see AWS presence, you would see VMware Cloud on AWS presence also. In Q2 2019, we launched this service in Mumbai region, and it's been a major hit. It's been a big hit since then. I mean, we've seen a lot of customers migrating their key application workloads, including banking customers, migrating their key operations into our VMware Cloud on AWS offering, and has never looked back. So we've had a great track record, in when it comes to VMware Cloud on AWS offering itself. Now, some of it, what I've talked about, just wanted to put it through, in a form of a table for you. So again, I'll just reiterate the entire lifecycle management today. Your teams do it, and there is a lot of manual process, required. I'm sure, in all your great IT experiences, you must have seen an environment where, because of some installing some patch or upgrading some environment, your environment went down, your network went down, or your servers went down, or your storage went down, right? I mean, we have all seen such situations like that, right? So to ridicule all that problem, VMware will basically do it for you completely. VMware will patch it, upgrade it, till your hypervisor layer. We'll patch it, upgrade it, install any new component if any required. We'll do that for you. What we'll do is basically, the whole idea is to reduce that application go live migration time. When in a normal environment, when it could range from anything from 4 to 8 months, depending on how fast you can procure the devices, how fast you can procure servers. I can do it in a matter of minutes. To be very honest with you, all it takes for me is 90 minutes to boot up an HDDC anywhere across the globe. When I say HDDC, I mean software-defined data center, anywhere around the globe. And it just takes me 10 minutes to add a host permanently into your environment. So we can start with as low as probably 2 hosts, and we can extend that to great with many number. So we can start with 2 hosts in your environment minimum, and we can extend it. And tomorrow, if you want to go with 3 nodes, 4 nodes, all it takes me is 10 minutes to increase your cluster size. What we are trying to achieve out of all of this is basically give you a written commitment across all your workloads, be it your app tier, DB tier, or your web tier, any and all of your virtual machines at a consistent of 99.9% SLA or 99.99% SLA. We can offer you both these sorts of SLAs. And from the compliances point of view, we have practically all the certifications. I'm going to be talking about that in upcoming slides, but everything is included into the VMware Cloud on AWS offering itself. Now, some of the key differentiators, which I've talked about earlier, but just want to reiterate one more time, as of course, great operational consistency. And you will see that in a real life demo, that I'm going to do after this presentation. I'm also going to show you a seamless migration of an application from on-prem to on-cloud or vice versa, without any problem, without any architectural change, without any IP address change, without nothing. And the whole, VMware Cloud on AWS is basically based on a zero trust security model. So as you saw in the network diagram, you have firewalls every step of the way, basically, as in when you enter the VMware Cloud on AWS, or within VMware Cloud on AWS. And data at rest on VMware Cloud on AWS is also encrypted by default. You can bring in your own keys, or we can use custom keys provided by AWS KMS services, for example. That is also integrated into the solution itself. Very, very scalable, very, very robust sort of environment. So basically, the whole idea behind VMware Cloud on AWS is to mitigate that complexity and the risk involved in migration those applications, or to reduce the cost for migrating those applications onto cloud. And we manage the entire infrastructure for you, thereby giving you guaranteed uptime across all your workloads. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very key statement and a very bold statement to make. Please go ahead and check with any cloud provider today if they can offer you a consistent, SLA on your virtual machine. Nobody will ever say yes to it. Nobody will ever say yes to it. They can say they'll twist and turn around the fact that they guarantee an SLA around the service itself, but not on your application workload, which is what you matter the most, right, as a customer. Now, from the industry certifications, we have all ISO certifications, GDPR, HIPAA, CSA compliant. We are also SOC 1, 2, and 3 compliant. And by the way, all the SOC 1 and 2 are basically type 2 certifications that we hold. So we practically have all the certifications. Time for a quick demo. I'll just stop sharing and boot up my lab here. I had my lab up, but unfortunately it timed out.
So Vikram, I think it was a good session. I have a few queries which our customers might probably have. but I will ask on their behalf. And of course, customers, you are free to add to whatever I have asked. Right. The first question is saying that we understand that in now VMC on AWS, basically what you're running is the same vSphere that we are running in our data center. The same vSphere is or ESXi is running in VMC on AWS. So is this ESXi in a nested mode that is running, or how is it? Can you
So
just
there is no nested sort of configuration that we do. You get a dedicated sort of environment for yourself, which is non-shared across any, with anybody else. So you get a dedicated sort of environment. That's a good question.
So it's not basically that on EC2 hypervisor that you're running ESX,
nothing.
right? It's directly on bare metal.
There is no nested sort of environment that you have.
Okay, thanks,
Sort of a
Vikram.
nested
The
environment.
second, query that I had was, how large this environment can go. That is, what is the maximum supported cluster size in VMC on AWS?
That's a very, very good question. So as we can start with as low as 2 hosts in a cluster, we can extend to 16 hosts in a cluster. Likewise, we can have up to we can go up to 16 hosts in a cluster, and likewise we can go up to 20 hosts in one SDDC. Likewise, we can have at least 2 SDDCs per customer. Now, these are all soft numbers, by the way. I can always go back to my product team and I can increase it, for our customers. So basically, these are all soft numbers. It's a very, very scalable sort of environment.
Great. And I mean, one thing that we use in our data centers is that we can configure our VMs to any size that we want. I mean, the CPU
Right.
memory based on the application requirement. And
Right.
when we go and see in probably a public cloud, there are very specific t-shirt sizes that are mentioned, which are memory specific or storage specific or CPU intensive and so on. So how does that work in VMC on AWS?
That's another question, a great question. So basically, we have no concept of a fixed t-shirt size. So today, let's say with I'll take an example of AWS. If our customers needs to go ahead with let's say 2 vCPU and a 4 GB RAM, they must go with T1 micro or T3 micro, depending on the storage that they want. Now, what if you want to choose, let's say 1 vCPU and 10 GB RAM, for example, or let's say 10 vCPU and 1 GB RAM, for example? You can't do that. You'll have to choose a C1X large or a C2X large, So what you end up paying is too much. No, moreover, if you look at another scenario, let's say for your app, for your development sort of environment, do you want to dedicate a full core for a development process or a UAT sort of process? Maybe no. Maybe you want to reduce that cores to, let's say, 1:8, for example, or 1:16. Thereby making it a little more utilized. You can do all of that in VMware Cloud on AWS, but you can't do it in anywhere else. Basically, the VMware Cloud on AWS offers you that sort of capability as well. So you can basically, you're free from choosing a limited sort of t-shirt size or CPU core that you want or RAM optimization. So whatever optimization that you saw on premise is the optimization which is carried on the cloud. So with that, having said that, Manish,
I think we're short of time.
Cloud,
it's short of time.
So basically, when you log on, So when you log on to VMware Cloud on AWS, you basically go to console.cloud.vmware.com. Now, this is your one-stop shop. Now, from here, you can basically, as you can see, we are
not able to see the entire screen. I think it is.
Oh, okay. Let me just stop sharing and start sharing again. I don't know. Not sure what happened. Yeah, can you see it now? Is it better?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you have, you can have a single factor authentication, or you can have a multi-factor authentication while logging in to VMware Cloud on AWS. And when you log on, you use a URL called console.cloud.vmware.com. Now, this basically is your single stop shop for checking everything. And I'm gonna show you how later on. Once you successfully log on, you click on VMware Cloud on AWS to access your VMware Cloud on AWS services. Let me just click on that. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a canned demo. This is a real life, demo that I'm trying to show. Yeah, so it's might just take some time because this lab is actually based out of US. and I'm trying to access it over my DSL connection, over Horizon, which we use, which is our desktop virtualization, which is another great use case, by the way. You can have a very, very scalable and a very robust desktop or app virtualization environment on VMware Cloud on AWS. We support both, Horizon as well as Citrix. I recently did a deployment for Citrix, so that is also supported. Let me go on to my SDDC. So as you can see, my SDDC right now, this test SDDC is running with 3 hosts, basically. Now, when I click on this network and security tab, basically from here, I can do everything here, from firewalling, from routing, from VPN, from NATing, I can do all of that. And this is that beautiful gateway, full stateful firewall that we had, which is basically allowing our north-south traffic. And we have our beautiful distributed firewall for controlling our east to west traffic within VMware. So every VM wants to talk to any other VM, you'll have to make a rule out of this. By default, it's deny all. It's set to deny all. So without wasting any more time, let me open up my vCenter here. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to try your hands on the real lab, on the HOL. So we have our entire VMware Cloud on AWS lab on our HOL website. So if you access our VMware Cloud on AWS HOL, you'll see the labs. And this is, I have opened up a vCenter on the cloud. Now, I'm sure all of you basically you have used vCenter in one way or the other, in your environment. Can anybody tell me what's the difference here? I mean, it's just the same if you look at it. If you look at it, it's just the same sort of look and feel, same sort of features, menus, everything is pretty much the same that you see on the cloud. But the only best part about this is, so if you look at the about, right now you're running in one version which is not even available for you on premise right now, which is 1+ version which is available on the cloud right now. This is not even launched for on-premise environment. So having said that, let me just quickly go ahead and launch my on-premise lab here. 1 second. Just a quick time check. How much time do we have left?
We're almost there at the hour.
Okay.
We started off late, so yeah.
Okay. I'll just take a couple of more minutes, so it'll not take much time. Any questions that you see on the chat panel that are
no questions as of now.
Okay.
Either the audience is very shy or everybody's.
Okay. Please, if you want to unmute yourself, maybe we can give you the right to unmute yourself, or if you can raise your hand, if you want to be unmuted and you want to ask your questions, please feel free. Just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So this is that magic sauce that I was talking about, the HCX, tool that I was talking about. Now, like I said, this lab is actually based out of US, so there is a little bit of latency that you see on the network right now. So I have, I have my lab set up, which is there in Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, right now. And my cloud is based out of US East region. So basically, I have that connectivity, H6 connectivity between my VMware Cloud on AWS in US East region, and my on-premise data center is in Austin, Texas. As you can see, if you look at network extensions, right now I have paired my network extensions, as you can see right here, and it's very, very easy to configure, by the way. It's not a mammoth task to configure all of this. This is very, very easy, just a few mouse clicks and that's it, you're done. Let me just go to migration. I have created a test machine, which is on premise. I'll just show you that test machine right here. So let me just, I created a test machine called Vikram. Vikram test migrate 02. I have created. So let me just do a web console, log on to that web console. As you can see, the IP address is of 192.168 subnet, 70.168 subnet that we have. This is the IP address of this virtual machine. And just for test, let me just ping to any global DNS server, for example, just to emulate if the application is actually running and the workload is actually running. So I'm just trying to emulate that. Let me go back to my HCX migration tool here. As you can see, this virtual machine is actually based out of my on-prem data center 172 subnet, and my on-prem data center is that 172 subnet. So let me just quickly go back to my HCX here, which is hybrid cloud extension. Again, this hybrid cloud extension is a part of the overall offering. So there is no extra charge for this offering. Let me just click on migrate. So during the migration, this is probably the most important part. This is probably the most important part. You see this arrow mark right here? This is probably the most important part, which actually shows I'm trying to do a migration from on-prem to on-cloud. So let me just search my virtual machine here just for a second. Yeah, this was Vikram migrate, test migrate 02, as you can see. Let me just click on add here. And now I have a couple of options. Now, what compute zone? Because I'm trying to migrate a virtual machine which is running from on-prem to on-cloud. So let me choose a compute resource pool, which is on cloud. Because I'm also not just migrating the compute, but also trying to migrate the storage. So I'll choose the storage appropriately. Workload profile, I can choose vMotion. I can choose bulk motion. I can choose a replication assisted vMotion as well. So right now I'm going to choose vMotion because it's just one workload. The bulk migration basically talked about, talks about if I want to migrate an entire set of workloads from on-prem to on-cloud or vice versa or whatever way, and probably want to do some sort of automation with that, So I want to probably, for example, migrate, start migration from, let's say, 11 p.m. in the night, go till 7 a.m. in the morning, for example. And during that time, when I migrate, I want to boot up my on-cloud VMs, and I want to shut down those VMs which is on-prem, or vice versa. I want to shut down the VMs on the cloud and keep my on-prem workloads as is. So I can do all of that automation from here. Now, I'm pretty much done here. Let me just so right now I'm trying to retain the MAC address. So with this, if I want, I can retain the MAC address also. By the way, I can while during the migration, I can choose to leave the MAC address as is, or probably leave the host name as is. So what that basically means is, in case you have any application which is based on whose licenses are based on either MAC address or host name, we can remain in as is. So you don't have to relicense those applications again. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to choose a network segment here. Now, can we unmute everybody, please, if that's okay? Okay. When I do all of that, all I do is
Yeah, that can be done, Vikram. I'm unmuting everybody one by one.
Please. Yeah. Yes, thank you. So, gentlemen, before I start, and ladies, of course, before I start, I have one question for all. Now, I'm trying to choose a different segments. So as you can see, the network adapters, I'm trying to choose separate. These are two different distinct network adapters. What will happen? Will my migration happen as is seamlessly? What do you think? Can people please unmute yourself and let's have a communication with that. I'm just going to click on go and let the migration begin. By the way, in my lab environment, I only have a 50 Mbps of DSL connection, so please bear with me. If it takes some time, during that time, please feel free to unmute yourself. There is a question that I see from Prakash. How do you help organizations in lift and shift migration approach? So this is the way we do that with our HCX tool, Prakash. This is the way we do that, and basically we can offer them. So you can pick up any application workload and I can migrate to the cloud. if that's required. So this H6 is the way we do that, sir. Does that answer your question, Prakash? You can unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay. So while the migration is happening, I'll just click on refresh a couple of more times. Manish, do you have any other question for me?
No, no.
Okay, cool, cool. So right now, in this virtual machine, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a different segment altogether. That means I'm going to re-IP. I'm not going to retain the same IP address. I'm re-IPing the IP address. And remember, how many of you remember that we initiated a ping and we were continuously pinging, right, to global DNS server? So if you change the IP address, what do you think will happen? Would we see some packet drops? Yeah, I think there is somebody trying to speak.
No, by mistake. Sorry.
Okay. So Vittal sir, just a quick question. I don't see anybody, so I'm going to pick you up if you don't mind. Uh, so if I change the IP address of any virtual machine, do you think that will hamper my ping address which is going on? Or if I migrate an application from which I'm trying to show on premise to on cloud, do you think at least you should get 2 or 3 ping drops? Do you see? Do you agree with me? Let me just click on refresh a couple of times.
Another question, Vikram, is
Yeah,
can we
sure.
keep data on site and
Should
workload on
not
public, right?
drop in ping. Okay. Well, should not drop in ping. Even if I'm changing the IP address. Okay. You said yes, no impact. I mean, impact when I change the IP address of the virtual machine or when I don't change the IP address of the virtual machine.
When you change the IP of the
Okay.
machine,
Okay. There should not be no impact. Great.
correct.
Sir, ऐसा हो जाएगा तो don't you think that will be amazing? I mean, nothing short of magic if you ask, because even if I change the IP address,
No,
it should
basically just I have
those
got
things, right?
a few of the items, might be I have read earlier. So,
Acha, acha.
so that's why I thought might be it was definitely should not impact.
Okay, okay.
It's my scenario. I don't know. Maybe some others can say something.
Sure, sure, sir, sure. It's already done 25%, by the way. Remember, gentlemen, I'm only doing it on a 50 Mbps DSL link. We all have better internets than 50 Mbps what I have in my lab environment. So just bear with me. I think it should take less than 60 more seconds. I think we should be done in a minute. Okay, we'll see. It's done with 31%. Now this tool. Now this is a question that I want to ask you all now. And please unmute yourself and you can talk to me on this. I'm just showing you a scenario where I'm trying to migrate from on-prem to on-cloud. What if you want to move an application on a realistic environment? Not on VMware Cloud on AWS, but any realistic environment. Let's say you have an application hosted on, let's say, CSP number 1, cloud service provider number 1, and you want to migrate that application to CSP number 2. How has anybody done that ever in their lives? In the chat, if people want to put in. Okay. We are down to 36%. Just taking some time here. We'll just hit refresh a couple of times. 100%. Okay. Any experiences with OEM tax? Anybody has any experiences on OEM tax? I'm sure most of you have experiences on OEM tax, right? Technical assistance centers, or the helpline or the tax support that we call in. How long do you have to wait in a queue to get a tax support? With VMware Cloud on AWS, primarily the reason why I was asking that question is you can just click here and you can chat with the support person. And now these are all live support people that you have, and you can open up n number of tickets as you want. It's not a chat bot sort of environment, so you can basically ask them, and we will give you a service status also right here. If there is something wrong, we'll show you right here. You know, if there is a service availability issue whatsoever. So let me just go back to that migration tool. Sure, it would have been okay. It's at 60%. Yeah.
And one of the question, Vikram, is
Mhm.
there any limitation on supported versions of VM?
What do you mean supported versions of?
In the sense, I think what probably the question is, what is the minimum version that is there on-prem that you can migrate probably to
Oh,
VM?
5.5. 5.5.
That is
5.0
mandatory.
rather. I'm sorry. 5.0 onwards, U1 onwards, which
Yeah.
is EOL long time back, we can offer you. Okay, migration is done.
Another question was actually that can you use, I mean, as I understood, I'm not sure whether it's the right question.
I'll just
So-
take that question. Just 1 second, Manish, if that's okay.
Sure.
Let me log on to my, so I've logged on to my vCenter, which is on cloud. Let me just look up for my machine, which is there. Okay, right here, I see that machine now. And let me just, okay. The ping is still going on. Manish, is my screen visible? I think there is.
Yeah, I can see the terminal,
screen.
but there is not, it's not completely clear. Yeah, now it is
Okay,
refreshed.
okay.
Yeah, now it is refreshed.
I think there is some problem. Usually, you would not see a single packet drop. The machine just migrated, but usually you will not see a single packet drop here. Like Sir said, he was absolutely right. You would not see a single packet drop. I think the problem happened on my side because yeah, the IP address I remained the same. As you can see, the IP address remains the same. I think there is some networking issues on the cloud cloud setup of the vCenter that we have. Yeah, what was the question? I'm sorry.
No. So another question which I have answered probably, but you might want to elaborate on that. I think the question was, can you keep data on site and workload on public cloud? So that was a question. What I understood probably from this question was that, can you keep your database on-prem and just move your application and web onto the cloud? What I've replied probably is, it depends on the application, the latency that it can withstand. And I mean, this is more to do with the application performance. Technically, yes, you can move only the web and app VMs onto cloud and keep the database VMs on physical servers or VMs
Sure.
on-prem, right?
Sure. As a matter of fact, which reminds me to talk about another use case. A great use case that we have is let's say you are using a lot of Postgre or MySQL sort of database. Now, I can always offload those MySQL or Postgres or SQL or NoSQL sort of database, whatever you have, MySQL, Postgres, or any other form of database that you have on, let's say, DynamoDB or Aurora, and I can still keep my web and app tier on VMware Cloud on AWS. And this sort of architecture can also work. If you have RDS, if you want to use RDS for your, for your, let's say, or Oracle or your MS SQL sort of databases, you can do that as well. So basically, I can integrate with any object which is there on the cloud, on native cloud.
In fact, there is a bank in India
Exactly.
who's doing exactly the same, where they have got the web and app on VMC or AWS. And of course, they've got all the environment, that is production, pre-prod, UAT, test dev, all apps being on VMC and AWS, being segregated and secured using the micro segmentation that Vikram was talking about. And they're using native AWS services, the RDS service for a few environment, and Oracle installer EC2 on some of the environments.
Correct.
So you've got
Correct.
Yeah.